Shawna Jordan. Welcome to the Hungry Soul. We're gonna make some hummus today, and we're gonna do 3 different kinds. I'm gonna make a regular Middle Eastern lemony, tahini, cumin. I'm gonna make 2 versions of that. One is gonna be really garlicky, like so garlicky that it's gonna feel hot on your tongue. And then the other one is just gonna be a nice mild one for those of you who don't like to indulge in garlic like I do. And then we're also going to make a roasted vegetable hummus, but that one, instead of garbanzo beans, we're gonna use some white beans or some Great Northern beans. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our vegetables ready for that because they're gonna have to roast in the oven for about an hour, and so we can make the other hummuses while that's going on. So what I have here is a plate of yummy ingredients. I have red, orange, and yellow peppers, and I'm just gonna sort of cut them into some slices. Got some cherry tomatoes here. Actually, they're grape tomatoes. They're nice and sweet. I have some onion that I've cut into wedges, some garlic cloves that I left in the jacket for roasting. I have about a tablespoon of fresh thyme, about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a couple tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and a couple tablespoons of brown sugar. And there's no perfect amount of either of these. It's just to your liking. You know, if you like it a little sweeter or a little more acid, just it's up to you. So we're gonna go ahead and get this going. First thing I'm gonna do is chop up these peppers. And I'm just gonna make some easy slices, just some nice long slices like this. I see I missed a couple seeds there. That's okay, not a big deal. So these don't have to be perfect or fancy by any means. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is mix the dressing for it. I'm gonna start by putting in the olive oil, all the liquids, balsamic vinegar, the thyme, and I keep my brown sugar wrapped till I'm ready to use it because I've learned in the past that it turns into a rock if you don't, which makes it really hard to mix in. Okay, I'm also going to add some salt and pepper to this. Also, to your liking, I tend to like a lot of pepper. My husband doesn't. So, okay, so we're just going to get this all kind of mixed together. Oh, it smells so good. And you know, this is a great way to roast tomatoes just by themselves. Afterwards you can use them for bruschetta, and the oil is amazing. It just picks up all the flavors. I've used it to make spaghetti sauce as the base to brown like my onions and mushrooms and that kind of stuff. You do have to be a little careful because there's sugar in it. You don't want to put it in at too high of a temperature or it will burn. Alright, so we got that all mixed up. Now we're just going to go ahead and throw all our ingredients in. I've already pre-washed all these so we don't have to worry about that. Onions. And the reason we're leaving the garlic in the jackets is so it doesn't burn up while it's roasting. Instead, the shell on it just sort of gives it this nice little space to heat up and get nice and soft, and all those flavors start to come out. So when they're done, you can just pop them right out of the shell and eat them like that, and they pick up all the flavor of everything you're roasting with. They're wonderful. So now we're just going to get these all tossed up in the oil. We want to get them coated really, really well. And then we're going to pop them in the oven at 325, which I already have preheated, and we're going to roast them for about an hour. And you might want to go in there once or twice while it's roasting and just give them a little stir and toss them. But you'll know they're done when they start to kind of look caramelized and a little bit browned on the edges. That really brings out the sweetness in them, so make sure you roast them long enough. And I'm going to go ahead and get these in the oven, and when I come back we're going to go ahead and get started on the hummus. Okay, the first hummus that we're going to make is the one that's going to coordinate with the roasted vegetables. We're going to get that chilling so it's ready when the vegetables are ready. We're going to do this all in a blender. You can do it in a food processor if you prefer. What I have here in the bowl is I have 1 can of Great Northern beans and about a ½ can of chickpeas. You don't have to mix them, but the reason I put the chickpeas in is it just gives a nice kind of nutty texture to the Great Northern beans. They're just a little bit softer and smoother than a normal tahini, or excuse me, a normal garbanzo bean hummus. So it's really up to you if you want to add them. I accidentally discovered this. One time I put too much liquid in my northern beans, and to thicken them up I just added a little extra garbanzo, and it ended up being a happy accident. I really liked it, so that's how I make it now. So anyways, like I said, 1 can of Great Northern beans and about 1/2 of a can of garbanzo beans. So you can go ahead and put those in your blender. And I have 3 very small cloves of garlic here. You can make it to your liking. Some people just like to use 1 clove. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. And then I'm gonna pour in lemon juice. Now you can use fresh or bottled. I don't have any fresh lemons today, so I'm using bottled. I always keep this around the house. So you're gonna pour in your lemon juice and you're gonna let it come to about a 1/2 inch below the beans, maybe even 1 inch depending on how thin you want your hummus to be. I'm gonna go with 1 inch. You can always thin it out with more lemon juice or more water later. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, also to your liking. I'm doing about 1 teaspoon to start. Some fresh ground pepper. Now cumin is a key ingredient in hummus, and it's got a really nice smoky scent to it, and it's what's in tacos or a lot of Mexican food, so it kind of helps you understand what the flavor is. I'm gonna put about 1 teaspoon in mine. You can put more or less if you like. Okay, and then we're gonna do some tahini. Now tahini is like a sesame seed paste, almost like a peanut butter just made with sesame seeds. And usually a recipe calls for about 3 tablespoons of tahini. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. Messy, messy stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and mix this up. It's gonna be a little bit loud. Make sure you put your cap on so it doesn't fly everywhere. And I'm just gonna pulse it, just to kind of start breaking it down. I make hummus a lot, and I shared some of my recipes with my friend Kurt, and he was nice enough to make his own version of it because we had a conversation about how hummus is a personal love. Everybody likes it a little different, and so he shared his version with me. So shout out to you, Kurt. Thank you very much. It was wonderful to receive food, and food that I didn't make, and I really enjoyed it. I loved how you added like extra salt and tahini. So I'm definitely going to do that in my mellow one today, the one that doesn't have very much garlic. There we go. Now that it's all incorporated, I'm just going to let it run on low for a little bit. I don't want to over mix it. I don't want it to be too smooth. I sort of want it to have like a little bumpy texture to it. There we go. Okay, now we got to test it. It's really good. That lemon is just right away, just pow. And then the tahini kind of settles in, and just enough salt in there to bring out the flavor but not make it salty. We don't want to overdo any of the ingredients in this one because we're roasting those vegetables and we want those to be the star of the show. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in a bowl and then we'll get started on the next hummus. Okay, on to the next hummus. This one will be similar to the one I was talking about that my friend Kurt made over. It's got a nice mellow garlic flavor, really a big amount of tahini, so it just sort of has that nutty flavor to it, and just a little small amount of garlic. I have, again, 3 very small cloves here, probably equals about 1.5 normal size clove. So in this bowl, I also have a bowl of chickpeas here. It's 1 can. And the good news about making 3 hummuses is that you don't have to wash your pitcher in between. All these flavors blend well together, so we're just gonna keep on doing batch after batch in the same blender. So go ahead and put in your can of chickpeas, which, by the way, I have washed. Put them in a strainer, rinse them with water, get some of the extra starch out of there. And canned goods, it's just always good to rinse them if you can. Okay, so throw the garlic in there, and then once again, we're gonna do the lemon, only this time we're gonna use a little less. We're probably gonna go, about a good 1.5 inches below the top of the garbanzo beans. And this time we're gonna add a little water. Now I'm just gonna, excuse me, give it a little shake to settle them. And then just a little splash of water. You wanna leave some out on the top. Okay, and then a little bit of salt. And this time I'm gonna do just a little tiny pinch extra. I just want it to be a little bit saltier. A little bit of pepper. And again with the cumin, another teaspoon. Okay, and then the messy tahini. It's good to kind of stir it up too. It tends to settle and get liquidy on the top. Okay, so we're gonna do about 3 tablespoons. Heaping tablespoons, because as I said, I really want to taste that tahini in there in this batch. Okay. And let's go ahead and blend this. Put the lid back on, and again, we're just going to pulse it. These garbanzo beans, they're a little bit thicker and more coarse than the white beans that we use. You'll be able to run them on high a little bit more than the other beans because they're harder to break up. Okay, and again, let's test taste. Very good, but I think I'd like a little more tahini. Like maybe a half a tablespoon. I'm just gonna add a little more salt. Find my lid there and mix it up again. Okay, it's just a little bit thick since I put in that tahini. So I'm just gonna put in a little splash of water, just a tiny bit. Don't wanna overdo it. Don't want runny hummus. Gonna help it get to the bottom there so it's not stuck on the top. Otherwise it won't mix. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, just wanna show you what this looks like. See how it's thick, but yet a little bit runny. And if you look nice and close, you can really see the texture. See how it's just a little bit lumpy? Okay, one more taste test. Wonderful, tastes a lot like the stuff Kurt sent me. All right, so I'm gonna get this in a bowl and then we're gonna make our last hummus. Okay, on to the final hummus. I have a can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans, just like the last batch, and this one is gonna be very similar to the last one. Same ingredients, but I'm gonna change up the measurements because this one's my favorite. Look at all this garlic. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 huge cloves of garlic in here, and I'm gonna put that all in here. So this is gonna be something you eat and walk around for the rest of the day going, wow, that was really garlicky. Stays with you. So it's not for wimps. It's hot on the tongue, but like I said, I do a ton of garlic, a ton of lemon, and it's just this sort of pow with every bite. So let's get started. Dump in my chickpeas and my mass quantity of garlic. And again with the lemon juice. And like last time, we're gonna stay about 2 inches below the top of the chickpeas. And there's just about a tablespoon left in there, so I'm gonna go for it. Okay, the tahini. Now this time I'm gonna do probably about 2.5, 3 tablespoons of tahini. I want to taste it, but I don't want it to take over the flavor like I did with the last one. I really wanted to taste it. All right, and then about a teaspoon of salt. Add in your grated pepper. And again with the cumin, another teaspoon. Okay, let's blend this all up. Okay, it's already getting thick on me, so I'm gonna add just a tiny splash of water. Okay, time for a taste. Love it. Love the garlic and the lemon. Perfect. My mouth is watering. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this in a bowl, get all three of those chilling. I'm gonna go ahead and stir the roasted vegetables and reset my timer for about another 30 minutes. And when we come back, we'll put it all together and we'll taste it. Okay guys, our roasted vegetables are done and we're gonna go ahead and finish everything now. I have cut up some beautiful vegetables here. I've got some sliced fresh peppers, some celery, I have some pita chips, some cucumbers, and some julienne carrots. And all of those are great to dip in hummus. You can dip it anything you want in there. I love Lebanese flatbread, that's my favorite, but the restaurant we get it from is over an hour away, so there won't be any of that today. So anyways, we have the three hummuses we made. Here is the here is the regular hummus, and here is the extra garlicky hummus, and then here is the white bean. And so we're gonna go ahead and finish that now. I'm gonna scoop my vegetables, or as many as I need for the batch, onto this cutting board, and we're gonna chop it up. And as I do this, I'm gonna find these little cloves of garlic that we roasted. So just to mark the extra garlicky one, I'm gonna go ahead and just squeeze one of those out and pop it right on top so we don't lose track of which one is garlicky. And then you can just set those off to the side. And as you're going through, make sure that you're not scooping up any of the little jackets so that those don't get stuck in there. Look at how gorgeous these are. Just take, whoops, take a beautiful look at that. Oh, and they just smell so sweet and wonderful. Okay, I want a few good cloves of garlic in there. A little bit of everything, lots of onion. Okay, that's probably good. There's a little left over, but better to have too much than not enough. And if we want, you know, later we can make other things with this. Like I said, you could make some bruschetta, you could toast up some bread, you could melt some cheese on it, put some of this on there. Some grated Parmesan would be really good on there. And to be quite honest, they're so good, I could just sit and eat this pan, just plain. Okay, let's chop these up. We're just gonna put kind of a rough chop on them. We want them to be a little bit chunky. You want them to keep their color. You want them to look pretty on top of the hummus. And just ignore that because that's my husband calling and I forgot to shut off my phone. He's on the road. He would be really jealous if he knew I was making this. It's one of his favorites. He has Lebanese heritage, so he really loves hummus. Okay, now that I have it all chopped up, we're just gonna go ahead. Whoops. I forgot one thing. I took out some extra Great Northern beans and I'm just going to sprinkle them over the top. You don't have to do this. I just sort of love the extra texture that it gives to it, and the beans are a little bit salty, so it just sort of adds an extra flavor there and an extra texture. So I just go ahead and top that, and then I go ahead and put the roasted vegetables right on top. And if you have hummus lovers and people who love vegetables, when they see this, they're going to lose their mind. It is just beautiful. And just like that, and that's it. Just take a quick rinse here. Okay, so now that we've got this all done, let's try it. Okay, I think the pita chips are my favorite. Probably not the healthiest, but my favorite. And so just a lovely bite there. A little bit of hummus, a little bit of bean, a little bit of veggies. Mmm. It's so sweet, that topping, just awesome. So, if you're having a gathering, it's great to have the three different kinds. It kind of pleases everyone. Not everybody likes the same things. Some people will look at this and think it looks awful because they don't like veggies, but then they'll maybe like the regular one. So, some healthy alternatives to dip in there, some not so healthy alternatives to dip in there. That's really lovely, and I hope that you enjoy it when you make it. and I hope you'll give it a try. And I hope when you do that you'll put some comments down below in the comment section and you'll let me know if you like it or not. And I also hope that you'll share with me your variations of hummus or how you do it. Always fun to exchange recipes. If you like what you see, please like me and subscribe. That way you'll know when my new videos come out, and you can find me on Facebook at The Hungry Soul. Thanks for watching today. Live, love, and cook with passion, my friends.